Yes! Alrighty! What's up, metalheads? It is I, your tribal metal god, Peter Joseph here, for a New Year's Day video. And it's New Year's Day, Happy New Year 2026. Thank you all for watching right here on Metal God 66. Now, and make sure you like the video, hit that subscribe button down there. You know where it is. Down there in the description box. Otherwise known as hell. So, subscribe to this channel and my other channels right now. Show your love and support. Leave a comment on this video or any one of my past videos, now videos, or in the future coming in videos. Don't leave stupid comments. You'll get sent to the Shadow Realm and hit with a bass guitar, and then Satan and Ozzy will eat your fucking soul. So don't do it. I'm going to do it, go to your dead channel. Nobody cares about that. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to tap and slap that bell. Turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next one. And that's that. And if you're brand new here, well, welcome to the party, pal. Happy New Year. And if you like music, movies, or whatever, then you came to the right guy. So, but if you like music and you want like this channel, then subscribe to this channel and all my other channels as well. So, that's that. So, for newbies out there, if you're just floating around YouTube at this time of day, it is a Thursday afternoon, January the 1st, 2026. But if you're just floating around, you see me, and you want to know what the hell is going on with me and my channel, then hit that subscribe button. And when you do, as we say in the business, welcome to the party, pal. We hope you enjoy the ride. Sit back, you relax. You grab your nice, tasty, cold one. It's just cherry Coke. Nothing in it. You know, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, grab yourself a nice, tasty, cold one. Put your feet up and enjoy the show. If you like it, great. You don't, well, fuck you. That's that. Alright. We're back. Well, not technically we're back. Because I did a couple of videos yesterday. My Happy New Year video on my Peter Joseph channel, and I did a couple of shorts, one on my rant channel about Mercedes Moné losing another belt, and you know, a little video with Kenny, by God Omega, bang! You know, so check those out, but we'll get back to some more wrestling-related videos today, a little bit later today. Got my Dynamite review, and then the year in review coming on episode 99 of the Shadow's Lair. So we're almost at 100 on the Shadow's Lair, but we'll get to that one on Saturday with your Wrestle Kingdom predictions, because that's coming up late Saturday night. Because we'll be up all night. Well, not all night, but you know, because we got Collision, you got the Niner game I gotta watch. That's gonna probably put me here. I've got no voice after that. So. But I'm going to do that video early and then watch the Niners and then take a little power nap and then watch Wrestle Kingdom late Saturday night, early Sunday. It's because it's later in Japan. So, Happy New Year to all my good buddies in Japan and around the world too. So, get that. But yeah, hope you had a great 2025. If you didn't, well, too bad for you. And that's that. But I'll talk about my 2025 on my year in review video. But I'm not going to do it right now. Alright. On the first official video here on this channel for 2026. You know, I wanted to do this video last year. And I just haven't gotten around to it. Like, among other things. But that's another story for another time. But really, this topic has kind of been a topic for many, many, many years. And as the title below says, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about metal versus rap. Or crap, if you will. And the reasons why I particularly like heavy metal and 80s and a little bit of pop more than new rap. Not old school rap. I'll get to that in a minute. But new rap, like NF and Ren and all the other garbage rappers like Kendrick Lamar and all the, the other rappers I can't stand. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So if you like that, because I know this is going to be pretty well talked about, but, it is what it is. But I wanted to get it off my chest, and give reasons why I like metal more than today's rap or today's pop, if you will. That's that. Alright, so let's kind of go back a little bit. Now, like I said, I grew up in the late 70s and really didn't get into the music genres until the early 80s. Little bitty hoax to do, listen to my dad's 50s and 60s tapes on the 8 tracks and all that shit. So, I started listening to, like, Elvis Presley, thank you very much. People like that, Frank Sinatra, the Commodores, the stuff up to, like, the 50s and 60s, and then, blah, 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 blah. I would hear the 70s stuff, but I didn't get into, like, real music until the early to mid 80s. I started listening to some dance music. Diana Summer, and people like that, like Madonna, Michael Jackson. I mean, come on. So I started off with the pop dance craze. I didn't really get into metal, or I didn't really get into rock music until like the mid 80s. With bands like Def Leppard and, stuff like that. Like early glam phase, I started with that. I didn't get into, like, Metallica until, like, 1986 with Master of Puppets came out. And I was like, holy shit. When Master of Puppets came out, I was like, damn. The early days of thrash music came around. I didn't even get to Slayer till way later. Fucking Slayer! Stuff like that. But, I grew up with Pink Floyd, the 80s Pink Floyd, after that racist terrorist, well, pretty much he's a racist and a terrorist, that's Roger Waters, left the band, and I started listening to Pink Floyd during the, Delta Sound of Thunder tour, which I was actually at. It was one of my first concerts at the Nassau Mausoleum, the first Nassau Mausoleum, not the new one now, but, I went with one of my friends back then, and his brother went to see Pink Floyd. That was during the Delta Sound of Thunder tour, which you can see me in the VHS and DVD, by the way, and on some of the YouTube videos if you can find it. But for Comfortably Numb and maybe one slip and if you find a few of the YouTube videos for not the remastered ones, the old school ones, you gotta like look it up, the old school versions of Comfortably Numb and On the Turning Away and stuff like that. But yeah, I was there with blah 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 blah. So I kind of like got into the rock realm in the early days of Metallica during Master of Puppets. Then I went back and got Ride the Lightning, and then the first album, Kill 'Em All. And I was like, shit, this is great. Then I got into Duran Duran, Wham! All those great 80s bands. I mean, Aha, U2, which was like kind of later 80s. But, well, even though they were, Sunday Bloody Sunday came out early to mid 80s. But yeah, I started that journey, and then I started getting into more metal bands, like Testament, and and Anthrax later on when they came out with Bring the Noise with when the rap rock era came around. That was a little bit later, but still, it is what it is. But I didn't get into people like Ozzy. Until I didn't even know about Black Sabbath then. Even when I was a little bit hoaxer dude, I was like, who the fuck is Black Sabbath? I didn't know them. I didn't know them. It's like early when I actually started to listen to Ozzy, and I went to the No More Tears tour, the first one, not the second one. Well, I did go to the second one too, but anyway, when No More Tears came out, I went to see him in Long Island as well. And I'm like, damn, this guy's great. So I started get the back catalog from Ozzy, and then my friend's brother's like, oh, you have to get Black Sabbath too. You can't start with Ozzy. You gotta start with Black Sabbath. Because like the forefathers of heavy metal. I was like, okay. I got the first Black Sabbath record, the first one. And I popped it in my tape player, because we didn't have CDs back then until late 80s. Popped the Black Sabbath CD in. I'm like, Black Sabbath, the first song, Black Sabbath. You know, if you don't know the first couple chords, I'm like, oh shit. You know, I didn't get into like Leonard Skinner's Leonard Skinner until later. Even Led Zeppelin, I started getting into it like the early 80s, you know. But, you know, Whole Lot of Love and stuff like that. But, now people still think Leonard Skinner was the forefathers of metal. I don't think so. It is and always will be Black Sabbath, then you got Judas Priest, and, you know. I didn't even get the Judas Priest until Painkiller came out. Painkiller! You know? I probably busted your eardrums good. I'll keep going. Okay, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go there though. I mean, I might do that song one day as an acapella, but I don't know. I don't want to use the backing track. You know, sing over Rob Halford because that would be like a little bit disrespectful, but and I'll probably get copyrighted for it. I don't give a shit. Not copyright claimed. I don't give a shit with that. On this channel, I have so many copyright claims, I don't even give two fucks. I was gonna mess up your monetization. I don't give a fuck about monetization, first of all. So when I post my concert footage, you know, sometimes I'll get copyright claims. I'll dispute them, and sometimes I win. I have won a few of them recently for the stuff I put up recently, like 2 weeks ago. There's a couple I can't get, you know, because like Metallica or Guns N' Roses. You know, there's a few I still have, you know, they have 30 days. You know, the super publishing company's got 30 days to say, oh, you can use it or you can't use it. But like I said, it's not a strike, so I don't give a fuck. And I don't need monetization, so that's I don't want to be I don't need to be monetized. I don't want to get money off this godforsaken website. Even if I did, and I started getting, you know, I can do live shows again and get donations and stuff. I don't, you know, I mean, it's nice, but you know, I don't need it. But anyway, so yeah, Judas Priest, like, Painkiller is probably, like, not the album is great, I mean, but the song Painkiller is, like, the national anthem of heavy metal. I mean, it is. I mean, you can debate it, but say everything else, like Master of Puppets is the national anthem, or Run to the Hills, or anything about, you know, The Trooper by Iron Maiden. And by the way, I didn't get to Iron Maiden until many years ago, because of the whole Sharon Osbourne thing. I wanted to like them. I liked The Trooper, and I liked, Number of the Beast, you know, and Run to the Hills. That's the only couple of songs I did like back in the day. But everything after, like Power Slave and, Stranger in a Strange Land and Phantom of the Opera, stuff like that, which I'm starting to get back into some of the back catalog of the deep cuts that I know, like, what is this? You know, it's Iron Maiden, but what? I never heard this song before. You know, but I didn't like Iron Maiden until, like, 2015, pretty much. Because of the whole Sharon Osbourne incident with Ozfest and people throwing eggs at Bruce Dickinson and the entire band. I was like, good, because don't fucking say shit about Sharon Osbourne. Fuck you. But then later on, I'm like, you know, after a few years, I was like, alright, let's get back to Iron Maiden. And then I started going into the back catalog and then getting the new stuff like Senjutsu, the final, not the final, but, you know, their last studio album, which was like a couple years ago. I'm like, come on, Bruce, you gotta put out some new stuff here, you know? I know Bruce has his solo stuff, which is alright, nothing great, but, you know. And yeah, I did finally see Iron Maiden. That's a fucking show in itself, man. Eddie! You know, Eddie comes out, you're like, you're gonna have a good time. You know, then I got into Megadeth, you know, and then pretty much the 90s came, and Kurt Cobain's around, you know, all the grunge, you know, Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains. I started getting into that. Stone Temple Pilots. You know, I got into the grunge wave with Nirvana, you know, and all that stuff. And I was like, I need some metal, you know, because, you know, grunge is alright, but, you know, there's great songs from the grunge era, but, you know, Metallica, when Metallica's Black Album came out, I mean, that was like, alright, put the stamp of approval on the metal scene, and then Kurt Cobain comes out and says, hey, guess what? I'm here! Pretty much, it's like, alright, you know, metal is probably gonna, you know, not be in the charts that much anymore, even though Pantera started coming around. You know, and bands like Live and, I think came out later, but, like, and, Filter and, you know, bands like that. But, and then metal started coming back, you know, with the new metal, with, you know, Limp Bizkit and, Creed comes out. And then Nickelback. You know, yeah, I'm a Nickelback and Creed fan. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You don't like them? Too bad. But, you know, got into that, and then when, the year 2000 comes around, you know, other bands started coming out, and then, you know, the rock era, you know, or the new metal, like Slipknot, you know, Soul Sour came a little bit later. You know, but, you know, every other band that came out in this moment didn't come out until 2007, really, but 2005 they were formed and everything. And I met them in 2006 before they even had a record deal. And they were on MySpace, Kenny! MySpace! MySpace, Kenny! Are you kidding me? You know, every band that you would think that came out in the 2000s were pretty much a MySpace band. Lamb of God. Stuff like that. But, you know, and then later on, you know, when after In This Moment, that's when you know, the new metal, or if you want to call it metalcore. I mean, there's so many subgenres of metal, you can't find out which one is which. I mean, when In This Moment came out, I was like, this is a metal band. Definite metal, not what they're now called metalcore, which I don't even think they're metalcore, but whatever. But, you know, the first album of In This Moment is just amazing. I'm just saying. Beautiful Tragedy, just a great album from front to back. You know, and the second album comes out, The Dream comes out, like, what is this? Is this pop metal? Like, I want to hear, you know, I want to hear some guttural screams, like Cannibal Corpse back in the day, you know, or Napalm Death, you know, stuff like that. You know, Cannibal Corpse, Corrosion of Conformity, you know, stuff like that. And then, you know, Beavis and Butthead, you know, got me into more bands I don't even know. Like, what is this? This guy cool, you know. But, and I just love metal. I can't get enough of it. You know, there's certain bands I still don't like Limp Bizkit, you know. I like the early Limp Bizkit when they first came out with $3 Bill Y'all, and then, Significant Other comes out with Nookie. I mean, that just went boom! And then Chocolate Hot, what was it called? The third album comes out with, I think that was with, Roland, or maybe it was, yeah, I think that's the one with Roland, I think, but whatever. Kid Rock comes out. I mean, can't say anything more. Linkin Park comes out. I mean, Linkin Park, just an amazing band. Chester Bennington, I mean, he is one of the most prominent frontmen in metalcore, whatever you want to call it. You know, Ronnie James. I didn't get into Dio until like the early days of Ozfest. Drowning Pool comes out. I mean, God rest Dave's mighty soul and everything. Not Dave Mustaine, you know. Hello, me! You know, that guy, but I got into Megadeth, you know, early 80s, when that album came out. I started getting into Megadeth a lot, then going back to Peace Cells and everything. And I saw Megadeth, like, 5 times. I went to the first I missed a couple of Gigantours, and then I went to Gigantour, sat in the balcony, you know, because, you know, couldn't get tickets. I mean, I could have got tickets. I didn't have enough money to get the floor seats at that time. But anyway, So I went to the first one, then I went to the second one. The next one after that, I was front row, and it was like Megadeth. I think it was Megadeth, Seven Dust, and Disturbed, maybe Korn. Or maybe it was, that was Music as a Weapon. I know that because I was in this moment, was on headline that. But I mean, when I was like front row and looking at Dave doing his Dave Mustaine doing his freaking solo, and then playing Holy Wars and you know, all the good stuff, Peace Cells and Symphony of Destruction and Hangar 18 and, you know, good stuff. I wish he would have played you know, Sweating Bullets. That's always fun. Hello, me! Meet the real me! And my wish was real life. I'm gonna keep talking to myself, you know. I do a good Dave Mustaine impersonation. Hello, me! You know. But in any case, you know, Disturbed is just an amazing band. You know, I'm not gonna go through every band, but the reason, you know, I just love metal because I know people are like, oh, we can't hear what they're fucking saying, you know, the screaming metal bands like In This Moment and Motionless in White and and any other screaming band, basically, like Napalm Death and Corrosion of Conformity, blah blah blah. You know, people are like, oh, we can't understand what they're saying, blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter if you can't hear what they're saying and screaming. That's why they have lyrics, dumb fucks. But you know, oh, you know, it's crap, it's this and that, and you know, all these people that love like the new rappers like Kendrick Lamar, like, oh, they have like 35, 100 billion fucking views on YouTube. Big fucking whoop. And they, oh, the new rap, you know, trumps metal and everything because of the views and the record sales and Grammy Awards and blah 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 blah. You know, oh, In This Moment I never get a Grammy. Oh, they've been nominated. So that's better than nothing. You know. I mean, I guess I said this before and I say it again. It doesn't matter how many fucking views you get on YouTube or how many record sales you get. It's all about the music, to me. You know, but I like metal more than rap because metal has a message. I mean, yeah, rap does have a message. Some of the rappers today, some of the rappers today have messages about depression and anxiety and stuff like that. But, I mean, I'd rather listen to a metal song about depression, you know, or whatever. And I need to let out some aggression, so I'll throw on some Slayer or something like that, you know. Like, yeah, Slayer, fucking Slayer! Ah! You know, stuff like that, and it calms me down. You know, and I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again to the newbies out there. Without In This Moment and Disturbed and a couple other bands, I probably would not be talking to you right now. I would probably be dead. Or at least in an insane asylum, maybe. Well, not asylum, but I'd probably be in an institution. Because, you know, I've been having an debilitating battle with depression since I was 18 years old. You know, that's no, you know, 18 to 20 something years old. I've been like, you know, I got diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, depression. I don't have bipolar. You know, people say, you know, oh, you have symptoms of it, but you know, you're not a doctor, so. You gotta be a doctor to actually diagnose somebody with bipolar. You just can't come on YouTube or social media and say, oh, this guy has bipolar. He has the signs of it. He's a schizophrenic. He's delusional. He has delusional disorder or something like that. You have to actually be a doctor. You just can't say it out of the blue because that's slander. So, but, you know, I get that all the time. I don't care. I get judged all the time for the stuff I like and, you know, the bands I like and the things I like. It's just, you know, I personally don't care. And then I get, oh, you like Bad Bunny because of this person. You like, you know, this wrestler because of this person. No. It's not because you know, that person likes Bad Bunny or that person likes Roman Reigns or whatever, or John Cena or whatever. You know, even if I had a humongous hatred for Roman and John Cena, now, oh, you know, Roman's better now, you know, he's great. John Cena's retirement tour, blah, blah, blah. Now you're a fan because John Cena's retiring, blah, blah, blah. No. It's not because of that. This whole, you can hate somebody for a while, then you're like, you know what, let's give them a second chance, third chance, whatever it may be. And then you're like, oh, then, you go, like the metal. You like metal. Like I said, I didn't like Iron Maiden because of the whole, Sharon Osbourne thing, but I still like the music, so I went after my hatred for the whole Sharon Osbourne stuff. I was like, alright, gave it a couple years, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to hold a grudge with Iron Maiden, so I'm like, go back to the catalog, so listen to music, and I'm like, oh, this is great, same thing with Roman. I said what I said way back when. It's like, I don't like his character, but, when he came on Raw and said, I got diagnosed with leukemia, I felt bad for him because, he's a guy, he's a man, so, and then when he came back and he said, I'm in remission, y'all, that's when I became a fan that night. I was like, yeah, let's go Roman, my tribal chief, stuff like that. But we got that. But, metal has helped me through the good days, the bad days, the really dark days, and like I said before, without bands like In This Moment, Disturbed, Motionless in White, stuff like that, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So, metal has saved my life and saved many others' lives. I know that's, people make fun of that. Oh, you use metal as a crutch, you use God as a crutch, stuff like that. I'm like, shut the fuck up. If the shoe was on the other foot and you were like depressed and, suicidal and everything like that, would you want to listen to some metal or, something to calm you down? Or would you just, most of the people probably would, But metal has saved my life, and I thank the bands that have saved my life, especially in this moment. Many, many, many times. I've got, when I met them early on, I would say, thank you for your music has saved my life, and I get the hugs and blah, blah, blah. Even with bands like New Year's Day and Conquer Divide and, even the newer bands I'm starting to get into, like Velcara, which is is a new band that's, was formed by Janelle of Conquer Divide. She left the band to do solo stuff, and their album's coming out in a couple weeks, actually, so pick it up. I'm getting into other new bands like Sabaton and which is like Viking metal. I'm on a Marth. There's other bands that I'm starting to get into. Alice with the one in it, but which is like progressive electronic metal. I'm starting to get into some different subgenres of metal. Even the Japanese metal that people think is K-pop, which is not. Like Hanabi and baby metal, stuff like that. And then, I would get into Mongolian death metal with the Who, not the Who, the classic rock band, but the Who, H-U. Getting the bands like that, and then discovering other bands I never heard of before, and going into the back catalog, like Eloise and, Eloise, that's it's a Final Fantasy VIII reference, but, they're going back to, like, the true metal, even though it's, like, some of it's drop D, drop C, drop A, whatever, but, I'm getting into new bands, because I like to discover new bands, and, and stuff like that, and then even the indie bands that have come around. I know a couple of indie bands personally, and one of them I've known for 21 years. This year. I know them since my college days. There's a couple of bands I know from my college days. One band's not around anymore, but they still played, various shows. They do solo work. One guy's in a Black Sabbath tribute band. Another guy's just solo, stuff like that. But I have good friends that I know for 20-something years. They're still kicking ass. Even though, they don't have a major record deal. They have a couple of albums out. They're working on some stuff here and there, but, I supported them since day one. Played them on my college radio show from when they started up until when they stopped doing college radio in 2010. But, I actually directed one of their music videos. I got a lot of hits. I mean, a lot. Not like millions. I mean, it's a couple 100,000, which is not bad. But, and I did get credit, by the way. But you won't know which one. But I digress on that. But I helped them with promotion and directing, photography, which I'm starting to get into with some bands, and that's pretty much my job. It's good work and everything. Doing audio work and some video work for certain bands, and I like when I put the stuff up on this channel. It's just my experience and everything. Blah 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 blah. But behind the scenes, away from certain things, I'm doing audio. They're running the audio board. But then I have the camera all set up. But sometimes I have it handheld because when I'm not running, because when I go, I do the audio. I set up. I do the audio, and then when the bands are playing, I'm videotaping some of it, and then on the off song when I'm not recording, I'm doing the audio work, but whatever. So I'm doing that. I'm not just going there, just recording, just for my own preference, which I am, but I'm also doing it for the band, too. The bands, I should say, too. But, I'm not going to go to, like, an In This Moment show and film. That's illegal. But yes. Yeah, not really illegal because people put it up on YouTube anyway. But, I'll put some of it up. I don't put all of it up, but blah 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 blah. And by the way, I was in a music video, not once, but a couple times. One of them being 2+ million hits. And yes, I got credit for it. People think that the band never gave credit for me. I don't care what you think. I was there. You're not. So kiss my ass. But I've been on DVDs within this moment. I've been on indie bands liner notes. But meaning these bands like In This Moment and New Year's Day and Motionless in White, stuff like that. It's not like people think, oh, you met them on a Make-A-Wish thing. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Make-A-Wish my ass. But most of those things were VIP. I paid for those, but some of them were not. Some of those were not, because I worked for Roadrunner back in the day, and In This Moment was on Roadrunner back in the day. Same thing with Slipknot. I met Slipknot. I met Ozzy off chance, because, I'm the adopted Osborne. But, I met Rob Zombie, because I went to, Ozfest, and then Mayhem, Uproar, all the festival tours, got the VIP pass and all that other shit, which I was paid in advance. So yeah, met John Five, the late great Joey Jordison, even though he gave me a bad look, but he was giving people a lot of bad looks then because nobody he didn't want to take pictures back at that concert, but I met him when it was a Slipknot with the masks on him, but it was all that other good shit. Zakk Wylde, met him when he was in Black Label Society. I mean, the dude is freaking big. I mean, when I first took Rosa to some concerts, like, when I went to a signing that Zakk Wylde was doing at, I think it was at Sam Ash at one point. Sam Ash, most people don't know what Sam Ash is, a record music store. But I met Zakk. Me and Rosa met Zakk, and I still have the picture of me and Rosa with Zakk in the middle, and Zack's like howling me and Rosa. Rosa's like, Rosa would tell you Zakk Wylde is like big. She loves Zakk. Not like that, but I got Rosa in This Moment. She loves In This Moment, not the old In This Moment. Nowadays, she's like, he doesn't like In This, Maria Brent's, Theatrics, because she changes her wardrobe every fucking song, which, and you know how she's becoming more of a witch per se, and you know people say she's a pagan and everything. She's not really a pagan, but you know she's getting into witchcraft, and you know if you notice some of the albums, you know it's a little bit darker and stuff like that, and you know all bands evolve, and you know the old school In This Moment fans like, what is this? You know, we want the beautiful tragedy days. We don't want the, you know, electronics with a little bit of crunchy stuff, you know. That's why you know, people saying Black Widow is, you know, not great. You know, I think it's underrated. I think Black Widow is a very underrated album. Just me. And then Mother comes out, goes back to the roots, which I thought was great, and then kicked up a notch with their last album, which was God Mode. God Mode is great. I mean, Army of Me, the cover of Bjork. I mean, what can you say about that? They're a great cover band. You know, with the covers of Creep and Closer on the Blood album, which I was at, by the way. You know, I was part of that song too, the live version. That's the 2 million hits for the video, by the way. But you know, yeah. I got Rosa in This Moment. I got, you know, other people in This Moment, into New Year's Day. And, you know, just Rosa loves Disturbed. Rosa loves Stained. I mean, how can you not? But, the early Stained. Not so much now, Aaron, because Aaron Lewis is like a hothead and stuff like that. But anyway. But Rosa loves Disturbed. Loves Godsmack. You know, loves Linkin Park. You know. I took her to see Godsmack at, what, I forgot what festival it was at, but she loved it. And Lamb of God, you know, blah, blah, blah. But we were there just to see, Rob Zombie in This Moment and, Korn. Even though I left when Korn came on, because I had a humongous headache. I mean, humongous. To the point where I couldn't even stand up. Not because I was headbanging so much, but I was just not good. So right after Rob Zombie got off, I think it was the I know that wasn't a festival, it was a concert. Return to the Dreads tour, because In This Moment opened for Rob Zombie, who opened for Korn. I had a humongous headache, and I was like, let's go. I want to go home before I pass out and puke and everything. But you know. And as we're leaving, you know, by the time we got to the bus, which took us to the train station, we hear that, you know, Korn starting. You know, I was like, shit. You know, we're gone. I'm like, I'm not going. We can't go back in. So we're like, you know, we're hearing the beginnings of I don't know what song where they first played, but. And then we go to the bus. We're only 2 people on the bus going to the train. We're like. Is anybody else coming? I don't know. The bus driver was like, is the concert over? Like, no, it's still going. I just want to go home because I'm not feeling well, so we got on the train. I fell asleep on the train. Going to Penn Station, and then basically I got on the next train to go home, and I'm like half asleep. By the time I got home to Casa del Joseph, I'm a wreck. I'm like, bleh, you know, because I didn't drink. You know, I suffer from migraines, which get to the point where, if they're really bad, I start puking. So it's not because anything would be in here, because there's nothing in here. But you can't tell, so you can't tell. You know why you can't tell? Because you're drunk, because you can't tell if there's anything in here. So I digress on that, but anyway, yeah, but, you know, I love metal, and it speaks to me, the lyrics, and just, when I'm in a bad mood, I need to put something on, like, throw some In This Moment, or Ozzy, or something on, and I calm down right away. Now, what does this have to do with rap? You know, with 39 minutes into the video, why do you hate rap so much? Why do you like metal more than rap? Well, I didn't get into rap until the early 90s, you know, well, like the mid to early 90s and I started off with Biggie and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, or Snoop Diggity Dogg, or Snoopy Dogg for people that don't know, I got into them, and then later on I got into Kid Rock and Eminem, Ja Rule, Tupac, and then I went back a little bit with Ice Cube and NWA, even Grandmaster Flash. Don't push me, 'cause I'm close to the edge. People like that, LL Cool J, stuff like, that's that old school rap I love. Ja Rule, Jay-Z, Nas, people like that. But as time went on, you get these people. And I like DMX too. What you want? Stuff like that. I like that type of rap. But the new rap that's coming out, like Drake and not so much Drake, Kendrick Lamar and all these mumble rappers like Ren and NF. I'm like, what is this shit? I can't get into it. I cannot get into it. Oh, give it a chance. How about no? Because I like more metal and old school rap and 80s pop and stuff like that than I like that garbage. I can't stand Ren. I can't stand Kendrick Lamar because it's boring. And the only thing Kendrick Lamar is good for was A minor, stuff like that. That's all he's good for. Even though he's Jay-Z's boy and everything, but whatever. Oh, he had a great rating at the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny's gonna dwarf that. He's gonna destroy that rating. But I didn't even get into reggaeton like Bad Bunny and Daddy Yankee and Don Omar and people like that until my clubbing days, which was like 2004 to 2008. So, and then, I would go to the club of dancing and everything to, the good stuff. Not so much metal, because they rarely would play, like Metallica or something like that, or just throw something on, like, oh, it's Metallica! Let's do a mosh pit! At the nightclub and everything. But most of the time, I would go to 80s night, listen to the classic 80s stuff, like Michael Jackson, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, shit like that. But, you get to the 90s rap and the 90s hip-hop. I like myself some Mary J. Blige and SWV and 3LW, stuff like that. Justin Timberlake, not rap, but, I'm getting that. But I can go to the club and then I hear the most boring fucking rap song ever. I'm like, fuck this, man. I'm going to the bar and fucking getting a drink. I can't. Like Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne would come out. I'm like, ugh. It's garbage. I like me some, like Little John, yeah, that guy. And there's certain rappers today that I can stand, but like Eminem, I can't get enough of Eminem because he's legendary. But like I said, I can't get into like people like Lil Wayne. I love 50 Cent. Come on. But I can't stand Ren. I can't stand NF. All these mumble rappers from fucking Britain or Canada or wherever they come from, I just can't get into them. And I just don't like them. And then I gotta hear, oh, Ren is better than fucking In This Moment. He has more views on YouTube. He sells more records, bro, like that. I'm like, who cares? Does Ren have a Grammy? As far as I know, I don't think so. And if he did, I wouldn't give two fucks. Kendrick has Grammys. Don't give a fuck. I don't care. Because I know the Grammys fuck metal. The Grammys give the shaft of metal so bad. Metallica, You don't see, when you watch the Grammys, you don't see most of the metal bands on there. You know why? Because it's the Grammys, or as we call them, the Shammies. The same thing with the Rock and Roll Hall of Shame. They'll put people that are not even metal or rock. I'm like, what is this? We're getting LL Cool J in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? What does that got to do with it? Donna Summer, it's Donna Summer, that's one thing, but not metal. If you're going to have a Hall of Fame, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it should be rock and fucking roll. If you want to put people like LL Cool J and Donna Summer and Diana Ross and people like that, then you should have your own, another Hall of Fame in a different state. Not in the actual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they have nothing to do with rock or metal. And then you got bands that have been around for 40, 50 years or so, or even the newer bands, and they still haven't got in. Like as far as I know, Iron Maiden, and how long did it take for Kiss to get in? Long time. There's other bands that haven't gone in, like Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, come on. I mean, we put Rage Against the Machine in. That's fine, but it took a long time to get them in. I can't stand the Rock and Roll Hall of Shame. I can't. Every year, the the nominees come out, because they're coming out pretty soon, for next year, for 2027. I'm going to be pissed, and you're going to see a video on this channel. It's like how pissed I am because of the nominees. Figured Billy Idol was on it, and he didn't even get in it. I'm like, come on! How could Billy Idol not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't understand that. I think maybe he did. I don't remember. I have to get off the top of my head, but it's whatever. But to sum up, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to end this pretty soon, metal will always trump rap. I'm just saying. The new school stuff right now doesn't hold a candle to metal. You could think it does. That's your own opinion, but my opinion matters more than yours. But, but I like metal. I cannot stand the rapper today because they're boring as fuck. These mumble rappers like, what? What? What'd you say? Huh? And then I gotta get the other side of the coin. Oh, we can't understand what Maria Brink is saying. Especially with that song, Harry, that guy. I will not control you. So like, this song like Satan, Like, I will eat your soul, something like that. And I think this is garbage music. They don't sell a lot of, records, and they don't get a lot of play on YouTube and everything, and they don't have Grammys and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But you got bands like Foo Fighters, they'll always be on the Grammys. They won a Grammy. They're in the same category. In this moment, in the same category, like Foo Fighters and a couple other bands, but, it's the Foo Fighters. I mean, not to say Foo Fighters is a bad band, and, I'm not going to compare Foo Fighters to In This Moment. I love both bands, so if Foo Fighters won, great for them. If In This Moment won, I would have been happy. Really happy. Like, see? Grammy Award-winning In This Moment. It's going to happen. Soon, maybe. I don't know. But, and if they don't get on the top 100 or the top 200, big fucking whoop. Okay? Yeah, I understand pop and rap, like Taylor Swift, that whore, and, Sabrina Carpenter and other people. They'll always be on the charts, and metal, or, certain metal bands will not get to, like, the number one spot on the Billboard Top 100 or 200. But they'll always be number one on the mainstream rock chart. And everything, but there's gonna be a time when there's gonna be a lot of metal bands on the top 100, if not the top 50. So, I mean, Metallica's Black Album was on the top 200 at one point. So you think that metal bands still going on the top 200 or 100? They do. Even if In This Moment comes out, with their next record comes out, if they'll get to number one, or the top, at least the top 10, top 20 on the mainstream rock chart, mainstream metal charts. And even if they debut at, like, say, number 25 on the Billboard 200, at least that's something. That's something. Stone Cold Racing was number 33 when it came out on the top 100, Billboard top 200. Blood went to number 8. 8! Back then. You can look it up, too. Good stuff. I mean, if you have an album that gets to number 8, that's pretty damn good. So, I think Blood is probably In This Moment's best record next to Tragedy. That, I don't even know that charted, but because they were a MySpace band at the time, when Beautiful Tragedy came out, it was right before they got their album deal on Century Music back in the day. Then they left them went to Roadrunner for like an album or two. I think it was not Blood. I don't think it was Blood. I think it was maybe I know they were on Roadrunner, but I forget what album they wrote on Roadrunner. It was either Blood or Ritual. I forget. But Ritual was an underrated album too. But yeah, they're on I don't know what they're on now. I think Capitol. I think on Capitol now, or Columbia. One of those major ones now. Not Elektra, like, you know, blah blah blah. But in any case, you know, if you don't like certain my bands, I don't give a fuck. And if you don't like me saying, "Oh, Ren is shit," or Kendrick Lamar is garbage because he's a mumble rapper and everything like that, I mean, that's your own opinion. But like I said, my opinion matters more. So that's the reasons I like metal more than new school rap. I love OG rap. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, NWA, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony, you know, bands, you know, rappers like that and groups like that of the early 90s, early 2000s, I will always listen to them. The rapper today, I cannot stand. I just can't. I can't get into Kendrick. I'll never get into Kendrick. I can't stand Drake that much. And, you know, and these other mumble rappers, I will never get into. I just can't stand them. I cannot. So, if you don't like me, you know, if I go on their video, if I see their videos, and, you know, I write a comment, this is shit, and then I get people like, oh, you know, what do you listen to? And I go, I listen to real music, which is metal. You know, oh, metal sucks, you know. You're not getting it. And even fucking rappers of today love metal. The old school metal. Because I seen rappers, you know, even indie rappers, you go on all these reaction videos, you just type in this moment reaction, and you just go down the list. It says, rappers, it's like indie rapper reacts to in this moment Blood or whatever it might be. And you watch it like, and they're like, holy shit, this is good. Even Judas Priest Painkiller, I seen reactions of rappers and, you know, people that never listened to metal in their lives are like, holy shit, what is this? They're headbanging and everything, and they never headbanged before. And then if you go on their channel, they have like a list, like Iron Maiden, Slayer, this and that, Skid Row, stuff like that. And they love it. So if you give it a chance, yeah, it's like, try it, you'll like it, you know? Like, Mikey, he likes it, you know, likes it, Mike likes it. Stuff like that. Will I ever like Kendrick Lamar? Maybe, maybe not. But Ren? Probably not. NF? Probably not. But, you know. But, you know, if you can't give metal a chance, then I'm sorry. I'll always defend my bands that I love, especially in this moment. So if you can't deal with it, then too bad. Alright, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for watching, and leave me your thoughts about metal versus rap, and your favorite metal bands and favorite rappers and stuff like that. You know, if you want to have a little discussion, if you will, I mean, yeah, we'll have a little discussion, but if you're going to leave stupid comments, it's like, oh, you're an idiot for, you know, this and that, I'm just going to delete your comment. I'm not going to get into a back and forth debate. I mean, just because you don't like my music, you don't like my opinion. And, you know, if you're going to leave a stupid opinion, then get out of here. Go do your own video, then. That's pretty much it. Alright. 54 minutes, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go talk about wrestling in a little bit. So, that's that. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year. I hope you have a great 2026. I know we just started. But, hope you have great health. And, lots of new music coming out, especially in this moment later on. I think Korn's coming out with some new stuff. A lot of good bands are coming out with new music this year. So stay tuned and keep on rocking. You know, throw up the irons and all that other good shit. Or just do this, too much metal. But that's that. So leave your comments down below. And like Trick Willie would say, let's talk about it. And that's that. Alright, guys, I'm going to get into my wrestling videos in a little bit, and then get through the rest of my day, and then get through the unofficial first weekend of 2026 as we start the early days in the first month of 2026, and we'll see how it goes. But that's that. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, rock on and rock hard. Like Lemmy would say, rock on and rock hard with your coot. And if you're not down with that, like my good friends in this moment would say, if you're not down with that, well, we got 3 words for you. Fuck you, man. That's it. Fuck you, man. You don't like this? Well, fuck you. That's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Peace.